Breaking news right now, a skirmish line outside the federal detention center in downtown Los Angeles as we enter night 2 of anti-ICE protests following widespread immigration raids here in Southern California. Some protesters throwing fireworks and rocks at police. The group has now been declared an unlawful assembly. Good evening to you. I'm Susan Hirasuna. President Donald Trump deploying 2,000 California National Guard troops into the city. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says that if violence continues, he will mobilize active duty Marines at Camp Pendleton as they are on, quote, high alert. We have team coverage for you. Justin O'Brien is up in Skyfox overlooking the scene, and Fox 11's Laura Diaz is on the ground. We also hope to hear from the United States Attorney. But let's turn first to Laura Diaz. What do you got going on there, Laura?
Yes, Susan, we're here at Temple and Alvarado near the Roybal building. We're at the back of it. You'll recall that this was the scene of all the demonstrations yesterday, which eventually did turn into having problems. But really, this was peaceful up until about 8:15, and it was just a short time ago when the LAPD pushed everyone out of this area. If you can pan over, Elliot, we saw them as they went down this street right here. They were pushed back. But it had been a largely peaceful scene. As I mentioned earlier, about 8:15, the federal officers fired tear gas that hit the protesters as well as some members of the media. Let's take a look at that video now because it was quite dramatic, as you can imagine, stinging everybody's eyes, and it was quite a scene. I'm going to interview now my friend and colleague, Fox colleague, Michael Horowitz, who shot the ground video that you're seeing right now. And Michael, describe to us what happened at about 8:15.
I was walking from Chinatown to Little Tokyo and happened upon this demonstration, about 100, 150 people, pretty peaceful. There was music. It was actually okay. And I decided to just watch for a few minutes. At a certain point, this is the same place where the Christina Gonzalez was yesterday. It's the driveway behind the Roybal building. At a certain point around 8:30, dozens and dozens of federal officers, you could see them on the other side of this giant gate.
And we should be seeing this video again. We have video of this.
I shot the video, and you could see them in riot gear on the other side of the gate. That taunted the protesters. They started talking really bad language, taunting the feds. I decided to go back across the street to where the live trucks were with the media, and then all of a sudden the gates flew open and the tear gas was starting to shoot at us. And I'm just not sure that the situation called for it at that moment.
But how bad was the tear gas? For your eyes stinging, describe to us.
It's pretty bad. I mean, we've all been through worse, but it's the last thing anybody expected. There was working members of the media. They were wired up with microphones and cameras, and there was no place for them to go. I could at least run away. Somebody gave me this, and I was really happy about that, and shoot the video that hopefully you're watching right now.
Okay.
But a lot of people got caught in the middle. It was bad.
Okay. Thank you very much, Michael. We have been monitoring this story all day long. Earlier, we were in Paramount, where there were issues there as well. A lot of people gravitating to where they were taking suspected undocumented. And so people who were in the area were gathering on the street there, too. So this is being repeated at many areas around Southern California. There is, of course, a power struggle going on between the federal government and their issues on this and some of the local politicians, and also the state, with Governor Newsom saying that he felt this could be handled by our local law enforcement. Mayor Bass expressing concern about it as well. So that's part of what you're seeing played out on the streets of Southern California today, trying to decide people's right to go out and demonstrate. But once it escalates to the point where people are inflicting harm or damage to property, that is when law enforcement is being called in. We know that Chief Jim McDonald said that, the LAPD is not an arm of the INS, that they're here to keep peace in the community, that they would not be called in unless it was absolutely necessary. As we pan off again, you can see that the LAPD are firmly entrenched here. At one point, the demonstrators started streaming down the street, running, and we were the only ones left behind. But it has been a day like this pretty raucous at various areas throughout Southern California, trying to figure out where the line is. But we do know that, of course, the National Guard being sent here to Southern California, a lot of people taking issue with that, including the governor, saying that he did not think it was an appropriate thing to do, that we could handle it here on our own. But so far, you're looking at a live shot of the LAPD near the Roybal building, and this is still being played out on the streets of Southern California as a city that is regarded as a sanctuary city is being tested right now about where exactly the line is and how people can go out and demonstrate and what becomes of that. We had some video earlier that we showed you when the chaos ensued here in LA. I'm Laura Diaz reporting live from downtown Los Angeles, sending it back to you in the studio. Susan?
All right, Laura, before I let you go, just for some clarity on your interview with Michael, he sort of suggests that aside from verbal taunts, that there wasn't anything that the protesters did necessarily that would warrant, in his opinion, the lobbing of the tear gas. Is that correct?
Right. He said that it was peaceful up until that point. And then if you look at that video, which I hope we've run several times because it was good, you could see a large number of those federal officers behind the gates. And so there was some kind of verbal exchange that appeared to be happening there. And at that point, they fired the tear gas, which included the media. And that's, pretty unusual for the tear gas to be fired at the media, but that's, according to Michael's video and to his firsthand account, he says that's what occurred. But we were in Paramount at that time, so we arrived after that. Yeah,
but to be sure, there were quite a few scenes from the city of Paramount that included a lot of destruction. In fact, one of our Fox 11 vehicles was destroyed by presumably demonstrators or protesters that were in the area. So it's not as if we can paint the picture of these protesters being exactly peacefully demonstrating. Have you seen anything else?
No, I wasn't suggesting that. No, I'd say it's a case-by-case basis, Susan. I mean, I was in a different location from where Matthew Seedorf was earlier today. I also think the time of day has something to do with it, but what we saw today in Paramount, there were no problems. At one point, somebody did throw a Molotov cocktail, an attempt, and it did not engage. It did not blow up, but it did start a small fire. So where I was largely peaceful in Paramount, and I was told from Michael that it was largely peaceful here. So I think it just depends where you are, how many people are assembled, and what the exchange is. It's just the randomness of it all.
Yeah, indeed. Laura Diaz, thank you very much. Stay there.